It could be a preview of the NFC Championship game, 49ers at Eagles. Late Fox game on Sunday. We'll talk about it next on DJ Football. He is the NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah. I am Ryan Brown. Two of the best teams in the NFL matching up in Philadelphia at the Link on Sunday. Late Fox, 49ers at the Eagles. Let's talk about it. DJ Football presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. They will match that initial deposit at 50% up to $1,000. MyBookie.ag. Code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. What's up, DJ? How are you?
I feel like we've been waiting for this one all year long. You know, in the NFL, a lot of people say, well, the regular season is not as meaningful as college football, and obviously that'll change next year with college football expanding the playoff. But trust me, there is no more meaningful game on the schedule than this game between these two teams, who I feel are, if not the best two teams in the league, they're two of the three best teams in the league. And these are teams that do not like each other. And it is not hokey, and it's not one player or this player. It's not this coach or that coach. Pretty much across the board, there's no love lost here between these two teams that met in the NFC Championship game. The Niners, if you talk to all of them, they will tell you if Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, we had them dialed up, and we would have been able to carve them up like a turkey. And you talk to the Eagles, they say it was only a matter of time before he got hurt because they would not be able to block us. So it is. I am so glad this is here. We've been pointing to this all year long.
We have been. I would say, you know, after the first few weeks, you thought maybe this game, the winner would automatically have the one seed on lockdown in the NFC, or at least hold the keys to the one seed. A few bumps in the road for 49ers along the way, so we're not going to get that. But this could be a sign of things to come, the outcome of this game.
No doubt. And it's just, to me, it's just kind of establishing. You want to establish some dominance here. Both teams. Yep. The 49ers have been able to do that as of late. They've gotten back on track. They've been the more physical team. They've jumped out on teams. We talk about it every week on here. We're talking about the Niners, the importance of them playing with a lead. And they've done that. And Brock Purdy has been dialed in. He's throwing the ball as well as anybody. You know, all the inbreakers that he's just wearing people out with. He's been outstanding. I cannot wait for this, man. I cannot wait. I know the Eagles, it is an exhausting game. They came off of an overtime game against Buffalo. Maybe that would factor into it if it was any other opponent. I don't think it matters this week. I think this is an Eagles team at home. That place is going to be absolutely rocking, and it's going to be the most physical football game in the NFL season. I guarantee you that.
Well, let's start with them, because I know one thing you were concerned about was the health of Lane Johnson. As we record this, it can obviously change, but as we record this, Lane Johnson expects to play Sunday. A massive bit of news for the Eagles.
Yeah, my buddy Dave Damashek used to always use the analogy of a Jenga piece. Like, every team has a Jenga piece. You take him out, and the whole thing collapses. Right. And, you know, normally that's a quarterback. You know, maybe it's an elite receiver. It's Lane Johnson. He is that guy. He has been that guy since he has been in Philadelphia. The numbers with him in and out of the lineup are crazy. So having him in this game, you know, if he plays, that is a huge, huge deal for Jalen Hurts and for this offense, especially when you consider, you know, the defensive front that they're getting ready to go up against with Chase Young on one side, Nick Bosa on the other, Hargrave in the middle who can move around. I mean, they have Armstead. I mean, they are stacked up front along the defensive line. And Lane Johnson, it's going to be best versus best, really, in my opinion. You're going to have the best offensive line in the NFL for the Eagles going up against what right now I would consider the best defensive line in the 49ers.
All right, explain to me how 3 weeks ago against Dallas, the Eagles are outgained 406 to 292. 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs on that Monday night game, outgained 336 to 238. Against the Bills in overtime Sunday, outgained 505 to 378. They are 3-0 in those games. Most any other team would be 0-3. How do they keep getting outgained by 100, 150, 200 yards and win these games?
Well, you play excellent football in the red zone. You're efficient when you're on offense. You get a stop here or there. You get a turnover here or there. And then when it's winning time, I mean, I see it every week when you go through these games. There are winning time plays in every game, and the Eagles are better than everybody else in the league. I mean, if whatever's required, if it's, you know, a limited amount of time, we got to get the ball down the field, they get it down the field. You got to make a 59-yard field goal, they make a 59-yard field goal. You got to get a stop to get off the field to give yourself a chance, they get the stop. Like every single time there's those winning time moments, they step up to the plate. It's a sign of not only a well-coached team, it's a sign of a veteran team, and it's a sign really of a team with outstanding leadership. And I think you start with Jalen Hurts.
You do. I found it interesting in watching that game Sunday. Jim Nantz on CBS said that Nick Sirianni says that specific team, has a winning culture better than any team he's ever been around. And one thing he credited it to, and you've got a background in scouting, and I find this interesting.
Yeah.
One thing he credited it to, he said, we have got so many former Alabama and Georgia players that came from a program where the fans and the coaches and everybody accept nothing but winning, that culture has carried over into the locker room. I found that a really interesting quote, that a NFL coach would say, I got so many players from these two programs that I don't have to worry about the winning culture.
Yeah, and think about Sirianni coming from Mount Union, and people aren't familiar with their program. Yeah. Look that up. They don't do a lot of losing there at Mount Union. So they've done that. Now, look, there's plenty of teams around the NFL that have a lot of big-time SEC players that did nothing but win their entire college careers. That doesn't guarantee it. You got to have the talent to go along with that. And they've maximized the resources with their roster, and they've invested in the right positions. I mean, this is, since Howie Roseman has taken back over this personnel department, Ryan, they just invest in the offensive line. And it doesn't matter if the guy's going to start this year, next year, or 2 years from now. They just keep pouring money into it, pouring resources, draft picks into it, and they do the same on the defensive side of the ball. And then they get creative with the positions that might not be the premier positions. You think anybody would like a do-over and maybe get DeAndre Swift for what they got him for in Philadelphia? I mean, it was nothing. It was like a fifth-round pick. And then you plug and play. They've done it at the linebacker position. They've done it at the running back position. And they just kind of fortify and supplement around the trenches. And it's really paid off for them.
All right, let's talk some about the 49ers. It is Eagles, 49ers, late Fox. The two teams don't like each other. This show, DJ Football, presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on to MyBookie.ag. Use that code, and they will match your initial deposit at 50%, up to $1,000. They're in MyBookie.ag. That is with code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. Also, Manscaped.com. Great gift in this gift-giving season for the man in your life, or if you're a guy and you want to drop the hint to the lady in your life, Manscaped.com. I have in my hand the Handyman. It's the easy travel razor, great at home as well, though. They've got the beard hedger, the weed whacker that takes care of the nose hair and the ear hair, and the lawnmower. It takes care of that old undercarriage. Make sure you're nice and clean there and the entire body as well. Great boxer shorts, male body products, Manscaped.com. And because you're watching this show, code DJF20 gets you 20% off your initial order at Manscaped.com, code DJF20. What have the 49ers done? They kind of hit a rough patch there, and Purdy maybe not was playing his best football. But now they're back. It's like they never missed a beat. What changed for them to get them back?
Well, they got healthy, first of all. You had some key pieces back on offense. So they're whole again. And now you're seeing what they do. They just give you so many things to worry about. And to me, Christian McCaffrey, when you have all those other pieces in place and you can't dedicate all of your resources to trying to slow down Christian McCaffrey, he's the ultimate X factor. And I think he's the matchup in this game. If the Niners win this game, Ryan, it's going to be because Christian McCaffrey is going to have 8 to 10 catches, and he's going to get after them in the passing game. That is the matchup that heavily favors them. The Eagles can fight and claw and scratch and match up with the other players that they possess. They don't have anybody on their team to deal with McCaffrey.
If we debated on this platform here, on this show, that Christian McCaffrey is the best player in football, would you argue that strongly against me?
I think that you'd have, a smattering of names that would be in the discussion, but I don't think you couldn't dismiss it if that's how I would answer that. I mean, you talk about Myles Garrett, some of these other guys you want to throw in the mix. It's a very short list, and his name is on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just utilize him so well. And we've talked about it before. You account for Brandon Ayuk, you account for Deebo Samuel, you account for George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and then they've got a fullback that they run out there, and he's wide open.
Sneaking out the back door.
Juszczyk sneaking out the back door wide open. And you're like, well, I mean, my gosh, I can't account for all these people. It's just they come at you from so many different directions.
No doubt. And again, I think if they're just going to come out and try and run the ball down the Eagles' throats, I don't see them being able to do that. I think even on the outside, I love Ayuk, but they've got a secondary with Bradbury and Slay. They can match up okay. But the X factor is two things: quarterbacks that can run. You saw that last week with Josh Allen, who had, I think, 80-something yards rushing against them. He converted 3 3rd and 10 pluses with his legs. So Brock
Crazy.
Purdy can run a little bit. He's got to use his legs a little bit here. And then really it's running backs on linebackers in the passing game. To me, that's the other area where I think you can get after the Eagles a little bit.
All right. Obviously, when you add a piece like Chase Young, it's just going to make you better. I mean, Chase Young's a tremendous player. But other than the fact that just Chase Young is on the field, what has it allowed that defense to do that makes them better? What is having Chase Young that you have to account for? What has it opened up for that 49ers defense?
Well, it's just giving so many people one-on-ones. And Bosa's going to get help. He's going to get help. You're going to chip on him. You're going to throw a tight end over there. You're going to try and get away from him. But now with Chase Young on the other side, what it's done is it's allowed them not to do the same thing to the other guys. You know, you can try and dedicate a chip or a tight end to Bosa, and then maybe you've got one extra helper. Well, now that Chase Young's out there, you have two winning matchups at all time because Hargrave Armstead, they're both those guys are going to annihilate you in one-on-one situations. Pick your poison. So it's the old adage, you can't double everybody. So you just throw another guy into the mix, and it's just creating more one-on-ones. All these other teams, I go through the sack reel every week, and they're rushing 5, 6, there's 7. I saw the Ravens last week, and they're dropping both 350-pound tackles out in pass coverage, and they're disguising. The 49ers like, here's our 4 guys. They're going to rush. Good luck. That's all they're going to do. And they get after people. So it's pretty unique how they function.
All right, it is the late Fox window. 49ers at Eagles could be an NFC Championship game preview. We've also got breakdowns of Seahawks and Cowboys, the Thursday night game, Broncos at Texans, early Sunday game, right here on this same channel with DJ Football. So make sure you subscribe and give us a thumbs up there at Disrupt the Media and set your alerts so you know when we drop content. The show presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round to get that 50% initial deposit match up to $1,000. And also Manscaped.com. Code DJF20 for 20% off your initial order at Manscaped.com. He's the NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah. This is DJ Football.